I think our country is occupied.
Who do you think we're occupied by?
Are you worried about Israel's influence on American politics? Because that's one of the things that's coming to light.
Netanyahu wrote that the war on Iran fulfills my 40-year dream.
America is unleashing the most lethal and precise air power campaign in history.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain, yes, but we've got some long-term gain.
Yo, what's good? We're back with another one.
It's showtime.
I think our country is occupied.
Who do you think we're occupied by?
AIPAC.
A lot of people think that.
The evidence is all there. We send $18 billion a year to Israel. Why? Just ask the question, what do we get out of it?
Nothing.
We get nothing. Are we doing humanitarian work? No, they're charged with genocide. They're killing off Palestinians. Are we helping them survive? Well, they've got a higher standard of living than we do, a longer lifespan than we do, free education, free housing, free healthcare, but we're sending them money. Why? Ask yourself why a U.S. congressman can wear an Israeli military uniform in congressional chambers. I would think that would be an act of treason. But they did. Nobody said anything. I have difficulty looking at that in any other way than we're occupied.
They got the whole world in their pocket, bro.
Before we get into this, let's make it clear. We're not anti-Semites. We've got no issue with Israeli people.
It's the state of Israel, bro.
There is a difference between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism, but the noise is currently piling them together as one, which is wrong. The people that control Israel, they don't care about religion, they care about controlling humanity as a whole to infiltrating every branch of power. So even if they control the media and big tech and the ADL and the politicians, they have no problem allowing Jewish hate to flood social media and put innocent people in harm's way, because ultimately it serves them. As long as it helps create their one world government, they don't care who the victims are. When you operate at that level, you don't see borders or religion. What you see is a chessboard. So wait, Bibi claims to care about Christians in America but not Christians in Gaza, in Iraq, in Iran, Syria, Libya? He also claims to care about Jewish people but still allowed the stand down to happen on October 7th. It doesn't even make sense.
Netanyahu let it happen, bro.
Fucking hell, Ted. That's a bold claim.
Everyone knows that what happened on October 7th was an Israeli setup. Everyone knows.
What? Look at him smile!
So are you saying Benjamin Netanyahu deliberately boosted Hamas to try to prevent a Palestinian state?
Yeah, sure. He deliberately and systematically even told on record, whoever wants to avoid the threat of a two-state solution has to support my policy of paying protection money to the Hamas.
So what we did, with the permission of our Prime Minister, is to let Qatar to transfer a huge amount of money in cash, probably more than $1.4 billion. By doing it, we increase the power of Hamas.
He's been planning it for years, bro.
We're skating on thin ice with this episode.
Get somebody to blow up a bus full of children or a building full of innocent civilians. You have to grind it into their minds. You have to wash their brains and tell them there's a higher cause out there. It's religious, ethnic, racial, whatever. And for that higher cause, you can disregard all the normal rules of morality.
What the fuck?
Yeah, bro. He's pretty open about it.
This is word for word, verbatim, from the Jerusalem Post by Benjamin Netanyahu, in 1990. If we get caught, they will just replace us with a person from the same cloth. So it doesn't matter what you do. America is a golden calf, and we will suck it dry, chop it up, and sell it off piece by piece until there is nothing left but the world's biggest welfare state that we create and control. Why? Because it's God's will. And America is big enough to take the hit, so we can do it again and again and again. This is what we do to the countries that we hate. We destroy them very slowly, but we make them suffer for refusing to be our slaves. So the man that they've convinced us is supposed to be our greatest ally, in 1990 was quoted saying that he plans to destabilize America and then in the process turn us into a forever welfare state which they control, and we will be their slaves, because that's what he does to the countries that they hate, and they want to make them their slaves.
That's fucking crazy.
I told you, bro. They've been planning it for years.
Guys, this is Dubai World. It's literally a port, a seaport. Which means if you're seeing rockets fly over your head and hitting this port, it did not come from Iran, because Iran is there. We won't see any rockets flying over our head unless we're in a ship. The rockets you've seen came from the opposite direction, and everyone witnessed it. No more lies, motherfuckers.
I've seen several of these videos sent to me, and a friend who lives in the region confirmed it. It's looking like Israel is doing the bombing of the UAE and then blaming it on Iran. If Iran is firing any missiles at the UAE, they're justified as its retaliation against US bases. But it's looking like like quite a bit of the bombing in the UAE is coming from Israel. And this is not the first time they've done this. They have bombed their allies or shot down their allies and then blamed other people. Remember the Liberty?
Makes you wonder what else they've been involved in.
Everyone's forgot about the dancing Israelis, bro.
How many people know that on the morning of 9/11, a lady looked out of her apartment in New Jersey, looking over to the burning tower, the first one, and saw 5 Middle Eastern-looking men filming it, high-fiving and cheering? She took them to be Arabic. She called the police. The police eventually tracked them down. They had traveling around in a white van. They were Israelis. They became known as the Dancing Israelis. They were arrested and kept in custody for 71 days until the ultra-Zionist head of the criminal division of the Justice Department, Michael Chertoff, released them. And how many people know that the same Michael Chertoff released the 200 arrested in the spy ring? And they went back to Israel. These 5 dancing Israelis, 2 of which were known by the police to be Mossad agents, said that they were there to document the event. Well, hold on, how did you know it was going to happen?
You sure that actually happened?
Yeah, bro. They knew it was going to happen.
Because, of course, other spy rings have been caught in the US in the last decade, most notably the so-called dancing Israelis who were arrested shortly after 9/11. They were seen celebrating the collapse of the Twin Towers.
Trace Gallagher. Thank you, Trace.
That Israelis who worked at the World Trade Center were warned by the Israeli government to take the day off on 9/11.
And also the alleged art student spy ring, which was rounded up in 2002. And they, again, were supposedly Israeli Mossad agents. Now, both of these spy rings weren't prosecuted. And in fact, the stories have been quietly removed from things like Fox News websites and things. And the spies, or alleged spies, were just quietly deported back to Israel. There was no political hoo-ha, there was no media hoo-ha, and there was no...
The United States is committed to Israel's security. We are committed to that special bond.
Can't believe that. How the fuck did they just let them go?
I told you, bro. Netanyahu's been in charge for decades.
If not stopped,
Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb. Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade. Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out. Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
This is fucking insane.
It's the new world order, bro.
Mossad and the CIA are known for waging war by way of deception, and these wars have created a huge influx of migrants coming to the Western world, which has created division. We're seeing it happen in real time. It's chaos. And when all these cultures and religions are clashing, the Zionists are getting exactly what they want. A reason to bring order to chaos. A reason to introduce a top-down surveillance system with a social credit score that's tied to a digital currency, just like China. And that's the plan. And they don't care how many Jews, Christians, or Muslims have to die to make that happen. Like many politicians said, you don't have to be Jewish to be a Zionist. So let's not fall for religious hate. We need to coexist peacefully. But if a nation infiltrates foreign governments, uses Epstein-style tactics to subvert powerful people, wages war, harbor pedophiles, promote degeneracy, and make you believe that they're the chosen people, then you need a change in leadership because they're not helping in our collective unity. The Zionists that control Israel are using Jews as the main face for their takeover, but they also use Christians and Muslims. When you see world leaders kissing the wall, having a bunch of dual citizens in their government, and making moves that benefit Israel more than their own country, then we know they've been compromised.
I thought this war was going to be about oil again.
It's because they don't use the Rothschild's banking system, bro.
Here's my theory, though. If you go back to 9/11, and when Wesley Clark said we're gonna invade 7 countries in 5 years, what you were talking about were the countries where those central banks were not on board to do programmable money. And their governance structures were not on board with essentially, because of Epstein, I'll call it the Rockefeller Rothschild model. There was an effort to say, okay, we're going to basically assert control of the central banks in those countries. That's my interpretation. And I think one of the reasons we're seeing so much tension around Iran is because Iran right now is the big leakage in the system.
How?
So
it's not about their nukes?
No. So, Iran's central bank counts. One of the reasons it counts is because their oil and energy is very important, including for China.
Yeah.
And that's very important in the BRICS system. What the BRICS system is trying to do is to create independent payment systems.
Since we started this channel, we've been telling you guys to keep an eye on what's happening with BRICS and the petrodollar.
The Rothschilds won't go without a fight, bro.
The reason, therefore, that Israel is the biggest recipient of American aid and military support is because this hand, called the House of Rothschild, takes the money from the United States and hands it to this hand, called Israel of the House of Rothschild, and says, thank you very much. The reason that there's no questioning of Israeli nuclear capability, that they get away literally with mass murder time and time again, is because the House of Rothschild also controls the countries of the European Union and controls the European Union. The Jewish people, in general, have been mercilessly used by the House of Rothschild and their front secret society, satanic secret society called Zionism, as a front which they can hide behind. So it is House of Rothschild organizations like B'nai B'rith, Sons of the Covenant, who created an organization called the Anti-Defamation League, which goes around defaming everyone, ironically, who have not just campaign for hate laws that stop you exposing these people. They're there simply to stop legitimate investigation of the Rothschilds.
I told you, bro. The Rothschilds are behind all of it.
I don't know about that. I think it's about oil. It's always about oil.
Let me ask you one question. Why did the Iran hostage crisis take place?
So certainly
I'm asking you
fundamentalist radicals took over the government.
Why?
The West.
Why did they take over the
West?
government? Why?
Because they're religious jihadis who want to eliminate Western society.
They hate our
way of life. They hate our way of
Or they overthrew the Shah of Iran, who we imposed on Iran because the Dulles brothers, one at the CIA and one at the State Department, decided that the oil beneath the soil of Iran belonged to BP and belonged to us. And when Mossadegh, who was the leader of Iran, the democratically elected leader of Iran, said that we would like to audit BP because we want to know if you are cheating us or paying the people of Iran based on the oil under their soil. And they said, you may not audit us. And then we overthrew him and he wound up dying in prison because we decided that we, in our arrogance as a country, got to own their oil. And wait a minute, no, one moment. And so the hatred of the United States had to do with the hatred of the Shah, who brutally repressed the people of Iran for 26 years until he was overthrown within Iran because he was not their natural king. They didn't want a king any more than we wanted a king. The bottom line is the arrogance of the United States' foreign policy. We act as if people act in a vacuum, and that nothing we do has ever led to the hatred of us in other countries. And I'm not saying that hostages should be taken, but you just said because they hate our freedoms.
Saying this is because they're religious radicals is a bit rich.
Brad, have they seen what's going on in the White House?
Hey Mainers, have Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth's commanders been telling US forces that the war in Iran is about Armageddon and the coming of Jesus? Holy hell, it looks like they have. This is one of those stories that I saw in my doom scroll and thought, no way is this real. Before we go on, ask yourself how many whistleblower reports it would take for you to believe this story. 1? A dozen? What if I told you it was more than 200? The Military Religious Freedom Foundation has received whistleblower reports from service members spread across 40 different units positioned at least 30 military installations around the Middle East. One non-coms report said that their commander, quote, urged us to tell our troops that this was all part of God's divine plan, and he specifically referenced numerous citations out of the book of Revelation referring to Armageddon and the imminent return of Jesus Christ. That same commander reportedly told troops that President Trump was, quote, anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to Earth. The complaints are anonymous because service members fear retaliation, obviously, and that fear makes sense because this didn't come out of nowhere. Military.com has reported that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has been hosting monthly Christian prayer services inside the Pentagon, with invitations sent not just to military personnel, but to defense contractors. When Military.com asked about the complaints directly, a spokesperson didn't address them at all, and just referred reporters to Hegseth's remarks about U.S. intentions in the region.
It's the pot calling the kettle black.
That's America, bro.
So let me see if I understand this correctly. According to Pete Hegseth, America's stance is now fuck international law, fuck rules of engagement, inflict the maximum amount of carnage fucking possible. Fuck being diplomatic, fuck being politically correct, just kill people.
America, regardless of what so-called international institutions say, is unleashing the most lethal and precise air power campaign in history. B-2s, fighters, drones, missiles, and of course, classified effects. All on our terms, with maximum authorities. No stupid rules of engagement, no nation-building quagmire, no democracy-building exercise, no politically correct wars. We fight to win, and we don't waste time.
This is so fucked up. I've been to war and I get it. Rules of engagement can be irritating, but they're there for a fucking reason. Rules of engagement are there to prevent you from shooting your target with a 50 cal and shredding the 4 fucking houses behind it, killing innocent people. Rules of engagement are there to prevent you from blowing up a fucking car that doesn't know your security protocols and approaches your convoy. Rules of engagement are there to prevent you from escalating a situation to where it doesn't need to be. It literally is set up to prevent innocent lives from being slaughtered by the horrors of war. They're just trying to live their fucking life. This is so fucking disgusting, and I'm so embarrassed for this country.
It's fucked up, bro.
I hope this goes without saying. We've got no issue with American people. We love you guys. But you've got to question what's going on right now.
fact, I got a little upset with our people. I said, what quality of ship? Excellent, sir. Top of the line. I said, why did we just capture the ship? We're going to use it. Why did we sink them? They said, it's more fun to sink them. I said, they like sinking them better. They say it's safer to sink them. I guess it's probably true.
That was a training training ship, which was invited by the Indian Navy to take part in an exercise. And they went there as their guests, the Indians guests, and they did participate in that exercise, and they were in their way back home, and the ship was unarmed. So attacking an unarmed ship full of training officers and sailors is a war crime, I have to say.
It's a moral abomination, and yes, it's tactically stupid. They bombed a submarine and just let the sailors drown to death. Going again, even the Nazis didn't do that during World War II, apparently. Even the Nazis collected people from the water. This is insane rhetoric.
It was more fun to sink them. No one who's ever been to war is going to describe it as fun.
He's a draft dodger, bro. They're bombing schools now.
The military just contradicted Donald Trump and confirmed that it was the United States who bombed that school in Iran, killing over 160 people, the majority of which were children. An ongoing military investigation has determined that the United States is responsible for a deadly Tomahawk missile that struck that Iranian school. According to the investigation, the strike was the result of a targeting mistake by the US military, which was conducting strikes on an adjacent Iranian base of which the school building was formerly a part of. The preliminary investigation found. Officers at US Central Command created the target coordinates for the strike using outdated data provided by the Defense Intelligence Agency. But Donald Trump is trying to sidestep blame, basically saying that it wasn't the United States. Donald Trump has even blamed Iran, saying they fired the missile, which is impossible because Iran doesn't use Tomahawk missiles, only the United States does.
That's horrible. And you're not hearing fuck all about it in the news.
Imagine if it was a school in Israel, bro.
Imagine an Iranian strike had bombed an Israeli school and killed 185, that's the latest death toll, mostly Israeli children. Can you imagine a response? It would dominate every front page and every news bulletin. The faces of the Israeli children who'd been killed would be all over the broadcast news and newspapers, including details humanizing them, like pictures of them playing or being happy with their families. We would hear from their grieving parents. Western politicians would line up one by one to denounce the barbarism of the Iranian regime. But not here, because it's clear whose lives matter and how the crimes of the West and the crimes of its opponents are presented.
It's ridiculous the grip this tiny little country has on the whole world.
They pay everyone off, bro.
Are you worried about Israel's influence on American politics? Because that's one of the things that's coming to light over the last couple of years since the invasion, where people are paying more and more attention to Israel. And then also seeing what happens when you criticize Israel.
I've never understood why AIPAC doesn't have to register as a foreign agent with the Justice Department when everybody else does. Why is AIPAC special that it doesn't have to register? If you're doing something, anything, on behalf of a foreign government, you have to register. Except if you're AIPAC. And I just don't understand that.
That seems so insane. And whenever you see just dozens of senators and Congress people going over to Israel, you're like,
oh man.
It's just crazy how much influence one country has.
Yeah, it really is.
On a much bigger country.
They've got the world by the bollocks.
I told you, bro. They control everything.
If you watch the news, you need to watch this video first and understand that the greatest form of mind control is repetition. This just got posted on Twitter and it's going absolutely viral because people are remembering that, yeah, a couple corporations do own all the media. So you think you're getting this illusion of choice, like, let me put on a different channel. Listen to this.
This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're going to have some short-term pain with long-term gain. Short-term pay for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain, yes, but we've got some long-term gain. Short-term spike for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain for American consumers.
We may have to deal with that in the short term.
Short-term and temporary.
Temporary Short-term pain.
It's going to suck in the short term.
Some short-term pain.
Short-term pain. We have to focus.
And you want to know why repetition is the greatest form of cognitive influence? Because it strengthens neural connections, fosters the illusory truth effect, and reduces cognitive load, making familiar information feel more reliable and credible over time. Didn't you hear George Bush? By the way, that video goes on for like 3 minutes. George Bush said something to the effect of, we got to say it a whole bunch of times so it really sinks in. But at the end of the day, all of a sudden, a lot of what everyone believes is just something they heard a lot of times.
The news is undeniably scripted at this point.
Everything's scripted, bro.
Listen, every president, from when I joined the CIA and George H.W. Bush had just become president, the Israelis asked us to bomb Iran. Every single president. No matter who the prime minister of Israel happens to be, you gotta bomb Iran. You gotta bomb Iran. You gotta bomb Iran. And every single president said, no, we're not bombing Iran. We would never bomb Iran. Because our position was that would be the start of World War III. The reason, though, I'm told, that Donald Trump decided to bomb Iran was that the Israelis said, for the first time, if you don't bomb Iran to take out these deep bunkers, we're going to use nuclear weapons. And they had never threatened that before. And so Trump said, bombing Iran might actually save us from the start of World War III if it keeps the Israelis from using nuclear weapons.
Do you see why there's a problem with that statement, John?
Yeah.
Because they've never admitted that they've had them.
That's right.
So you're telling me that they just admitted to the President of the United States that they have nuclear weapons and we still do not have them in the IAEA treaty?
I told you, bro. Trump's compromised.
And he built his whole campaign off rebuilding America.
The world would be better off with Saddam Hussein
100%.
and Gaddafi in power.
100%. Now, as far as Assad is concerned,
what about the human rights abuses?
Let's talk. Well, you don't think they're happening now? They're worse now than they ever were. People are getting their heads chopped off. They're being drowned. Right now, they're far worse than they were ever under Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi. And it all blew up around Hillary Clinton and around Barack Obama. It all blew up. Now, one thing about Assad, not a good guy. I understand that. We have to rebuild our country. Our country's falling to pieces. We have 19 trillion in debt. We have infrastructure that's a disaster. Our roadways, our airports, our schools, everything. We have to start thinking about ourselves. We're pouring trillions of dollars into the Middle East, and we have nothing for it. We have nothing.
But now you can spend over $1 billion a day on war, while your people don't even have free healthcare.
It would have been the same if Kamala got in, bro.
That's the problem. They're all puppets for Netanyahu.
They asked Donald Trump at one point, they go, so is that it with Iran? Like, is the war continuing or is it over? And he goes, well, I don't really want to see it continue, but maybe that's a better question for Bibi. And you're like, what? Wait, what? I'm sorry. You're like, well, my boss is right here, so you might as well ask him.
To those talks need to happen before you. Well, I would say that the best man to answer that is the Prime Minister. But I will tell you that, in my view, I hope it's over.
Is your Palestinian relocation plan still on the table?
Bibi, why don't I let you answer that question?
Do you think that there can be a two-state solution that is independent?
I don't know. I'd ask Bibi that question. You have the greatest man in the world to answer that.
Jeffrey Sachs, who I love, he said, I regard Netanyahu as the worst U.S. president of my lifetime, which is a very funny line.
I regard Netanyahu as having been our greatest disastrous president of the 21st century because he ran American foreign policy for 20 years and he cost us trillions of dollars.
Trump's clearly not in charge.
He's always been part of the plan, bro.
Israel will have an absolute enormous amount on Trump. He was so bankrupt, in for $1 billion. Wilbur Ross came in, still working for the Rothschilds at the time, organized 72 banks to bail out Trump. Trump is who Trump is because of that bailout. Sheldon Adelson and Miriam Adelson has given him $100 million for this election campaign. The strings of this, Donnie, move the US Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Done. The Golan Heights of Syria becoming Israeli territory. Done. There's a location in the Golan Heights now called Trump Heights in appreciation. Part of that agreement, this has been reported in the Jewish press, Trump at some point in this presidency will sanction the Israeli annexation of the West Bank. They've got most of it now anyway. And so you've got the blackmail, you've got the fact that he's beholding to them because they saved his backside, and you put that lot together and it's no surprise, is it, that he does whatever Israel tells him. The deep state wasn't vanquished when Trump came to power. just changed its personnel.
Just seems too far-fetched that it's all part of some grand plan.
Netanyahu said it himself, bro.
Netanyahu also wrote a few days ago that the war on Iran fulfills my 40-year dream. This is very important for people to understand because the claim was, well, Iran didn't negotiate right last week, or it's about this, or it's about that. No, this is a 40-year dream of Netanyahu. It is. Now Israel has invaded Lebanon. It's displacing these hours hundreds of thousands of people. It's telling people in Beirut, you must leave in the next 3 hours. This is a crazy country. I'm sorry. They think that it's as if they have a deed inscribed somewhere in heaven that they own all this land, that we'll stop at nothing to ensure global hegemony and Israeli regional hegemony, that you develop and you say, therefore, I go to war with my neighbors. It's the madness that gets us into World War III.
The world has gone fucking mad.
People are starting to realise, bro.
Screaming as the Israeli government burned men, women and children alive. They burned them alive. And the world stands by while 15,000 children are being slaughtered. 35,000 men and women and children. And it's unbelievable. The genocide that's happening. A child with no head. A child with no head. And the Israeli government say it's a mistake. A mistake. I hope that Benjamin Netanyahu burns in hell the same way them children and their families burned. I hope him and his generals and the far-right government in Israel, that when their God finally brings him to the resting place, that he deserves to burn in hell. Because what is happening now, not alone is it apartheid, not alone is it atrocity and a war crime, it's just horrific. It's just horrific what they're doing. Where is their soul? Where is the soul of the Israeli people that allows their government to do this to children? Where is their humanity? The Israeli people, the Jewish people, after everything the Jewish people have suffered down over the decades, that they would allow their government to do this to other human beings. Human beings. But in the eyes of Netanyahu and this far-right Israeli government, Palestinians are human beings. But today here, the Irish people say, we recognize Palestine. We recognize that they are human beings, just like every one of us. Shame on Israel. Shame on what they've done, and will never be forgotten.
What a fucking legend. Couldn't have said it better myself.
I told you, bro. People are starting to wake up. But we'll have to save that for next time.
Hold up, Ted, we gotta do the giveaway. But first, holy shit. Our limited edition sold out in 8 hours. It blew our minds how quickly it's sold out. You guys are amazing. We've been making shirts all week. They're all ready to go and start shipping on Monday, along with everyone else's orders. Back when we first released our hoodies, we only sold 2 of them in the first week. So to sell out the 50 limited editions was crazy. We've turned down tens of thousands of pounds in sponsorship deals, because there's no way any sponsor would let us make episodes like this. And that's why we'll never do sponsor segments in our content. So you guys buying merch, being channel members, it proves we're on the right track. But even just liking the video and leaving a comment, it really goes a long way. And if you do leave a comment, you could win some free merch. So, let's get back to the giveaway.
Leave a comment for a chance to win in our next episode. Let's do this, bro.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Contact us on our website to claim your prize.
Let's terrortedstowels.com. Go grab some merch, bro.
And as always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.